ॐ गुरुरेव घति गुरुमेव भजे गुरुनैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरुः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरुः मातिरस्ति गुरो मम पाहि गुरो सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेदमभेदकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकादराजुहाव पुत्रेदि तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेतः। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः. We are seeing Srimad Bhagavata Purana, and we are seeing Canto 9 in it, and we are seeing the line of Ikshvaku Maharaj. Ikshvaku was the eldest son of Vaivashvata Manu, who is the Manu of this Manmantra. And in the Ikshvaku line came Trishanku Maharaj. Trishanku's son was Harishchandra, and Harishchandra's son was Rohita. In the line of Rohita came Saghara. Saghara's grandson was Amshuman. Amshuman's son was Dilipa. Dilipa's son was Bhagiratha, and in the line of Bhagiratha came Mitrasaha. Mitrasaha did not have any progeny, so his wife begot a son from sage Vasishta, and his name was Asmaka, and his son was Mulaka. Mulaka was pivotal in bringing back, that is regenerating the Kshatriya Vamsha, which was completely destroyed by sage Parashurama. And in the line of Mulaha came Katvanga Maharaj. He was an invincible emperor. And Katvanga's son was Dirghabahu. Up to Katvanga we saw in the last video. Now Katvanga's son was Dirghabahu. And Dirghabahu's son was the world famous Raghu. We say no, Raghuvamsha Tilaka Sri Rama. So his son was Raghu, who was very world famous. And Raghu's son was Aja, and Aja's son was Dasharatha Maharaja, and Dasharatha Maharaja's son was that Parabrahman, Bhagavan Sri Ram. Tasyabi Bhagavanesha Sakshat Brahmamayo Harihi Amsham Shena Chadurdagad Putratvam Prarthidasuraham Rama Lakshmana Bharata Shatrugna iti samyaya. The Lord of all excellences, that supreme Hari, that very Brahman, he was being invoked by the celestials, that is the Devas, and a fraction of him was divided into four and was born as the four sons of Dasharatha Maharaja. Bhagavan Sri Ram was the son of Dasharatha Maharaja and his first wife Kaushalya Devi. So all that, the four parts of Bhagavan Sri Hari were born as the four sons of the Dasharatha Maharaja. That Bhagavan itself is the Amsha Avatara of Bhagavan Sri Hari. The life of Bhagavan Sri Ram was elaborately explained by sage Valmiki. It is from him we came to understand the life of Raja Ram of Koshala kingdom. So he explained it very elaborately. So anyway, in the Bhagavata, a glimpse of it, of the Ramayana was given. And we will see the Ramayana at a glance, because in detail Sage Valmiki has explained it. We all know about Ramayana, isn't it? So we'll see just a glance of Ramayana. Bhagavan Sri Ram was born as the eldest son of Dasharatha Maharaja and his first queen Kaushalya Devi. And he lived there in the palace of Ayodhya in between all the amidst of all the luxuries and royal life. He was given the right education at the right time, and so he was sent to the ashrama of sage Vasishta at the right age, and he lived in the ashrama of sage Vasishta along with the other brothers of himself and with other ordinary students also. After completing the formal education, he returned back to the palace of Ayodhya. At that time, sage Vishwamitra came and requested Dasharatha Maharaja to send Bhagavan Sri Ram, that is Sri Ram, with him to safeguard the yajna which he is performing for the world peace. Many Rakshasas are disturbing him and not allowing him to do the yajna in the forest. So he requested Dasharatha Maharaja to send Sri Rama along with him. Even though Dasharatha Maharaja at first he hesitated to send Sri Rama with the sage Vishwamitra, at last he sent, and Lakshmana also accompanied him. So sage Vishwamitra took Sri Rama and Lakshmana along with him and went to the forest to safeguard his yajna. On the way itself, Sri Rama killed Tataka, and he went to the hermitage of sage Vishwamitra, stayed there for many days and protected all the rishis from the Rakshasas. Whenever they perform an yajna, these Rakshasas will come and throw the flesh, blood, bones in the yajna. So he safeguarded all of them and he drove off Marisha without killing him. And the yajna was successfully completed, and after that sage Vishwamitra took Sri Rama and Lakshmana along with him and went to visit the palace of Janakapuri, that is the Janaka Maharaja. Mithila, they went to the Mithila because in the palace of King Janaka, the Swayamvara of Sita Devi is to be conducted. So, sage Vishwamitra wanted Rama and Lakshmana to participate in that Swayamvara. So, he took him along with him to the palace of Mithila. On the way itself, he saw a dilapidated hermitage. And Sri Rama asked Sage Vishwamitra, whose hut is it? Whose hermitage it is? So it is so full of dust and so it's so old. Whose hut is it? And Vishwamitra Rishi said, it is the hermitage of Gautama Rishi. Once it was a place where many sages used to visit, but now no one is there. Only his wife Akalya Devi is there. She was just like a stone sitting in a corner, and Sri Rama entered in that hermitage and saw Akalya Devi sitting in a corner. He knows movement or anything. She was just like a stone without any movement or anything, not even taking breath. But inside some vibration is coming out from her. Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram, like this. So Sri Rama, he went and touched Akalya Devi, and immediately life came back to her body and she worshipped Sri Rama's feet. And Sri Rama also, he lifted Akalya Devi and worshipped her. So Akalya Devi was relieved from the curse of her husband Gautama Rishi. And Sri Rama gave the Shapa Vibhochana to Akalya Devi. So after that, they continued their journey and entered in the palace of Janaka Maharaj on the Mithilapuri. And there the Swayamvara of Sita is being conducted. And King Janaka said, whoever lift this dhanu, that is the Shiva dhanu, and string it, I will only give my daughter to that king. Because once sage Parashurama said that, this is the Shiva dhanu, keep it with yourself. When the marriage of Sita Devi comes, you ask that person all that people who come for Swayambara, all the king who come for Swayambara, to string this Shivatanu. Only a divine person can string it. And Sita is not an ordinary woman. She is also divine. So she has to be given to a person who is divine. So to test who that is, you ask all the prospective grooms to tie the string of that danu, string that danu. And who succeeding in stringing that bow, you give your daughter to that person. And many rulers came there, everyone failed. They cannot even lift the Shivadanu because 300 people are needed to carry that Shivadanu, to transport it from one room to another. So no one succeeded, everyone failed, and they all ridiculed Janaka Maharaja, saying that no one is going to lift this bow. So your daughter is going to be like this itself. She cannot get married like this, or they all ridicule. But at that time, Vishwamitra, sage Vishwamitra, along with Rama and Lakshmana, entered the hall, Swayambara hall. And Bhagavan Sri Ram, he took the bow very easily, with ease, he lifted it, string the bow, and in that tension, he broke that big Shivadhanu. And Sita Devi married Sri Rama. They both became husband and wife. And all the brothers of Sri Rama married the sisters of Sita Devi. So after that marriage ceremony, they all returned. They were on the way returning to Ayodhya. And on that way, sage Parashurama, he came and stood in front of Sri Rama and asked, how bold you broke that Shivadhanu. And Sri Rama humbled the pride of Parashurama by explaining everything, and he just humbled him because he was so proud of killing all the Kshatriya race itself. He humbled him, and Parashurama went to Mahendragiri, and it is said that he is still meditating on the hills of Mahendragiri. And after that, they continued their journey. They all went to and entered the Ayodhya palace. In the palace, they were well received by all the three queens of Dasharatha Maharaja, and they lived happily there. And Sita Devi was also happy, and Sri Rama was also happy. So one thought crossed the King Dasharatha's mind. I am old now, so I want to hand over all my responsibilities of rulership to my eldest son Sri Rama. So he made arrangements for all that. At that time, his second queen Kaikeyi, she got very angry, and she said, only my son should be made the next ruler. So, and Sri Rama also should be sent to the forest for 14 years. Only then the people of Ayodhya will forget him. So he placed this demand before Dasharatha Maharaja, and Dasharatha Maharaja could not ignore this demand because once he had given his word to Kaikeyi Maharani that whatever she asked, he will satisfy it. So to keep up the words of his father, Sri Rama just left everything, ignored the kingdom, the wealth, the relatives, the friends, everyone, and he prepared himself to go to the forest. He got ready to go to the forest. At that time, Lakshmana and Sita Devi was so adamant to follow him. So all the three of them, Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita Devi, they all went to the forest. They crossed the river Ganga with the help of the forest king Guhan. At that time, Bharata, he came to know of the whereabouts of Sri Rama, and he followed there, and he requested Sri Rama to return back to the kingdom. Now the father has gone. Dasharatha Maharaja, in that worry itself, he died. And he wanted, Bharata wanted Sri Rama to return to the Ayodhya and take over the rulership, which Sri Rama disagreed, because this is the words given to my father and I will complete it. I will be in the forest for 14 years. After that, I will return. Bharata, he received or he got the sandals of Sri Rama, and with that Patuka as the ruler, he ruled Ayodhya from the nearby Grama, Nandi Grama. So all the Praja of Ayodhya, they know where Sri Rama is. So Sri Rama thought that Now everyone will frequent here. So he left that place and went into the deep forest, deep Aranya. There he built a house, hermitage, and lived there with Sita Devi and Lakshmana. One day, Ravana, Rakshasa Ravana's sister Shurpanaha, she came to the forest and she was so mesmerized by the beauty and personality of Sri Rama. But she came to know that he is married and she wanted to marry him. So she wanted to kill the wife of Sri Rama, who is Sita Devi. With that intention in mind, she approached Sita Devi and Lakshmana understood it and he wanted to chop off the head of Surpanaga, but unfortunately he chopped the nose of Surpanaga. With that bleeding nose, she went to her brother Ravana and cried that someone in the forest has cut my nose. And his wife was so beautiful, more beautiful than all your queen. She said like this to Ravana. So at that time itself, Ravana wanted to marry Sita Devi. And with that bad intention, he came to the forest and he requested Maricha to go near Sri Ram in disguise to bring Sri Ram away from Sita Devi, to make Sri Rama go away from Sita Devi, and then Ravana will do all the rest thing. So in the form of a golden deer, he came near Sri Rama and Sita Devi, and Sita Devi was so deluded, she wanted that golden deer. So Sri Rama chased that golden deer, and thus Sri Rama was separated from Sita Devi. At that time, Ravana came in disguise as an ascetic and requested for Bhiksha to Sita Devi. And the Sita Devi, in ignorance, she came out of the hermitage, and Ravana, in his Swaya Rupa, abducted her, took her away on his Pushpaka Vimana. All the while, when he carried, Sita Devi was shouting, Sri Rama, Lakshmana, Sri Rama, Lakshmana. Everyone in the forest heard, all the animals, the rest of the people, everyone heard her voice and her cry other than Sri Rama and Lakshmana also. When Ravana was carrying Sita Devi on the Pushpaka Vimana, the grand old eagle Jatayu, it prevented him, obstructed Ravana, fought with Ravana, but both the wings of Jatayu was chopped off by Ravana's swords. So Jatayu fell on the ground bleeding, and it was just keeping his life just to inform Sri Rama that Sita Devi is carried away by Ravana. Sri Rama killed Maricha and understood the trick of this Rakshasa, and he came back and saw in the hermitage Sita Devi was not there. So he cried, he shouted, Sita, Sita, all around the forest he searched for Sita. And he came to know from Jatayu that Sita Devi was carried away by Ravana. While he was searching like this, he saw on the way Jatayu in a bleeding state. And Jatayu said to Sri Rama that Sita Devi is carried away on the Pushpaga Vimana by that cruel Ravana, and it died. Sri Rama performed all the Antima Kriya, that is the final rites for this bird Jatayu. And again, he continued with his search. He crossed many forests, valleys, many rivers, and at last he came on the Rishyamukha Parvata, where 4 monkeys are sitting on a hill. And that was a Shugriva and Hanumanji and other 2 mantris, on the 2 ministers of the Sugriva. Sugriva was chased by his brother Bali, and he took off the kingdom of Kishkinda, and he was ruling over the Kishkinda kingdom. Who Vali was ruling in the Kishkinda kingdom, and he chased off his brother Sugriva. So Sugriva was scared of his life. He wanted to keep his life. So along with his 4 ministers who supported him, they came to the Rishyamukha Parvata, and they also saw a woman being carried away by Ravana, and she was dropping all her ornaments on the ground, just like so that Sri Rama can trace that path. Someone can trace that path. She thought like that, and she dropped all the ornaments. Sugriva and Hanumanji, they both took some ornaments and they do not know whose it is, so they are keeping it safe. When Sri Rama came that way, Hanumanji, he led him to Sugriva, and Sugriva and Sri Rama became the friends of Dharma. They both became friends, and they wanted to keep up Dharma, and they just made a deal. Sri Rama has to kill Vali and give back the kingdom of Kishkinda to Sugriva, so that Sugriva will help Sri Rama search for his wife. That was the agreement. And as I said, Sri Rama killed Vali and gave back the kingdom of Kishkinda to Sugriva because Sri Rama wanted to hold up Dharma. And Sugriva, in return, sent his army, divided his army on 4 groups and sent the army on 4 sides. But the army under the leadership of Angada, along with Hanuman, they went to the southern direction, and they were able to find out that Sita Devi is there in the opposite side of the ocean, on the other shore of the ocean, in that island called Lanka. Ravana was the ruler of Lanka, and he has kept her there in a place. This Hanuman came to know, and he climbed the Mahendragiri, and from there he just made a long jump and landed in the Trikuta hills of Lanka. And he searched everywhere in Lanka, and at last they found that Sita Devi is there in an Ashoka grove under the Shimshaba tree. She was crying, and Hanuman, he met her and got a sign of that meeting from Sita Devi. Again, he jumped from the Trikuta hills, a long jump, and he crossed the ocean and landed in the Mahendragiri. From there, they went to Sri Rama and reported that Sita Devi is there in the island of Lanka, and he gave the mark of their meeting. And Sri Rama said he was very happy to know that Sita Devi is alive. And now they all wanted to go to Lanka and bring back Sita Devi. So they requested the Samudra Raja to give them way. But the Samudra Raja did not budge in the beginning. And Sri Rama got angry, so he took his bow and arrow and to dry up the ocean. And Samudra Raja immediately very obligingly said that you cannot cross the ocean without building a setu, that is a bridge. So they all built a bridge. The Vanara Seva, they made the bridge across the ocean. That was the first setu of this entire universe itself. They built a bridge from here, from the spot of Bharata to that island of Lanka, and all the Vanara Sena, they crossed walking on that bridge. They all entered Lanka, and it destroyed many places in Lanka because they were all Vanaras, the monkey armies did. And they met with the army of Ravana also. They fought with the army of Ravana. And Ravana's army was well equipped, well trained, well disciplined. But this Vanara Sena, they were not trained to fight. But they used the stick, big trees, boulders, stones, everything, and threw on the warriors of the Rakshasas. And they killed many Rakshasas, many. And the Rakshasas also killed many Vanaras. So on both sides there were heavy damage. At last Ravana came out, and Sri Rama, he was an Ekapani. At that right spot, he led the arrow and destroyed Ravana. Thus, Ravana was destroyed. And Sri Rama next went to Ashokavana to see Sita Devi. She was crying under the Shimshubha tree, and he called her, and they made Ravana's brother Vibhishana as the king, because Vibhishana helped win the battle. So for that reason, Vibhishana was made the king, and they all, and by this time 14 years passed on, so they all mounted on the Pushpaka Vimana, that is the official aerial car for the Lanka. So they all mounted on Pushpaka Vimana, that is Sita Devi, Sri Rama, Lakshmana, Hanumanji, and Vibhishana, and they all landed on Ayodhya. Pushpaka Vimana was that aerial car which will move according to the thoughts of the person who control it. So they came back to Ayodhya. In Ayodhya, they were all received well by the subjects of Ayodhya. And by that time, Bharata also came to know that Sri Rama has returned to Ayodhya. So, keeping that paduka, that is the footsteps of Bhagavan Sri Ram on the head of him, and he walked towards Ayodhya and prostrated on the feet of Sri Rama and gave back the rulership, power of rulership to Sri Rama. And by that time, sage Vasishta, he removed the matted hair from Sri Rama, and Sri Rama was given that royal bath, that is bath made from the water carried from the oceans and the holy rivers. He was given that royal bath. He was dressed finely with the silk cloth, wore all the royal ornaments, and he was coronated as the ruler of Kaushala kingdom, ruler of Ayodhya. Now Sri Rama became Raja Ram of the Kaushala kingdom. And Sita Devi also served him with all love and respect. Life went on like this for some time. And during the rulership of Sri Rama, the Dharma was perfect. The Dharma was well maintained, and he ruled all his subjects as if a father is ruling the house. And when Sri Rama ruled the forest, rivers, mountain regions, ocean, everything, yielded to all the needs of the subjects, and the subjects were so happy without any disease, sorrow, or fear, or theft, or anything. They were so full of freedom, but at the same time, they all loved Sri Rama, so they have all are self-controlled also. So it was a combination of both, and it was a very nice kingdom. Ayodhya means it will not go for any yuddha. That is, they don't have any enemies. That's the meaning of the Ayodhya itself. So the Koshala kingdom, everyone liked Koshala kingdom. During the rule of Bhagavan Sri Ram, he performed many yajnas, including Ashwamedha yajnas. So whenever the Ashwa of the Koshala kingdom came to a kingdom, they just give the kingdom because they were so happy to give their all everything to Sri Rama. So like that, he ruled the land, and he performed many sacrifices, and he gave elaborate gift to the priests and brahmanas, and he ruled the subjects as if he was a father. And death came only when the subjects, they decided they wanted to die, and he ruled the nation. Raja Ram ruled the kingdom just like a Rajarshi. So life went on like this. And Sri Rama thought that he wanted to know the real feelings of the subjects. So one day in Canto, he went on the roads of Ayodhya, that is in the darkness in the night, and he came across a house where there was a fight going on. So it's unusual, that fight in Ayodhya is so unusual. So he just listened to it, and the husband is telling to his wife that you stayed in someone's house and now you have returned here. So it is, you are not pure, you are impure and unchaste. So I won't accept you, I won't allow you inside my house. I won't follow that mistake done by Sri Rama. He heard this, and he thought that he must establish dharma everywhere. I must yield to the demands of each and every praja, because I am their father. I rule like them, just like a father. I am their king. I want to uphold the dharma. So to uphold the dharma and to satisfy all the needs of the praja, I want to sacrifice my wife. So he abandoned Sita Devi. He kept his public life first before caring for his personal life. That was the real ruler. To uphold the dharma, I have to keep my public life first, and then only comes my personal life. And he abandoned the Sita Devi. Sita Devi also accepted it, and she went to the forest. She went to the forest and stayed in the ashrama of Valmiki, sage Valmiki. At that time, Sita Devi was pregnant, and in due time, she delivered twins. They were Love and Kushal. And back in the palace, Sri Rama lived just like an ascetic. He will not sleep on the bed, he will only sleep on the floor. He will take food only once in a day. He rejected all the royal luxuries. He just lived like an ascetic, performing all the yajnas to make the Ayodhya more and more prosperous. And he performed the Agnihotra continuously all during all his lifetime. He lived for 13,000 years. So without missing a day, he performed Agnihotra. And back in the palace, Lakshmana had two sons, Angada and Chitraketu. Bharata had two sons, Taksha and Pushkala. And Shatrugna had two sons, Subhahu and Srutasena. And Shatrugna defeated and killed a Rakshasa by name Lavana, who was the son of Madhu. He occupied the forest, and that forest was known as Madhuvana. Destroying Lavana and conquering that forest, Shatrugna established a very famous city, a very big modern city at that time in Madhuvana, and that is later known as Mathura, which was later conquered by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And Sita Devi lived like this for some time, and she entrusted her sons to in the sage Valmiki. And unable to bear the separation of Sri Rama, she worshipped him, meditated on him, and she entered into the earth. And Sri Rama, after coming to know of the departure of Sita Devi, he was also heartbroken, and he entered that supreme state of his being. So that was the life of Raja Sri Ram of Koshala kingdom and his wife Sita Devi. And among the residents of Koshala, whoever came in touch with him, Bhagavan Sri Ram, saw him, sat with him, followed him, they all became the great yogis. And Bhagavada says that whoever listened to Sri Rama's story and whoever read it or listen to it, for them, all the sins are removed. In my next upload, I'll continue with the line of Raja Sri Ram. Om Shri Narayana Khila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.